Hi, I'm glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Last week we talked a little bit about generosity. We talked about Elijah, and he went to somebody who was very poor and didn't have much at all and asked if she would feed him, and he could stay there and she would keep feeding him. And she said she only had enough for one more meal. But she said yes, and she trusted God, and he kept providing. God kept providing over and over again. And she was generous. Generosity is being willing to give and share what you have. And willing is the biggest part, because if somebody makes you give it, that's not generosity. Generosity means that you want to. You can be generous with time and talents, like the things that you do, and things like, let me see, you can share your stuff. You can give a gift, like my granddaughter gave me this picture that she made. You can give by helping someone. You can let someone borrow your things, or maybe let someone have a turn. I want you to be clear. It doesn't mean always giving away what you have. God gives us stuff, and He wants us to be happy, and He wants us to have stuff. We're talking about when God tells you to let go. And He will often tell you to let go of something when somebody else needs it, or when somebody else needs to feel cared about. It doesn't mean that you always have to give what you have. Like you would not want to share your stuff with somebody who just throws it around and breaks it, especially your special stuff. And I don't think that God would ask you to, but if He does, then you do it anyway and trust Him that He will give you something better to take its place. You can give gifts, but it doesn't mean that you always have to be giving all the time. I want you to know, I don't know if you know the expression about being a doormat. That means letting people walk all over you, take advantage of you. And God doesn't want us to do that. We are His children, and He gives us stuff because He wants us to have it. But He also wants us to know that if He asks us to give it away, then we need to do that. But if your teacher offers, maybe she has a thing of pencils, and there's one pencil in there that is just you. It's your favorite color, and it has your favorite logo on it and whatever, and it's just, that's the one you want. And you take it, and somebody else gets mad because they say they want it. Should you give it to them? Well, maybe, and maybe not. You can usually tell by your heart. If your heart tells you to give it to them, that's God telling you. But if God wants you to have it, then that's okay. That's good. He wants you to be happy too. So you can tell by your heart. If what you're doing is going to make your heart feel happy and right, then do it. But if what you're holding on to makes you feel guilty and bad and butterflies in your tummy, then you know that that's not what you're supposed to do. So go by that. God gives us those feelings to help us to know what He wants. So you don't always have to give everything, but you need to give it when God says to give it. I hope you can understand that. It takes some practice, and lots of adults don't even know that. So you guys are ahead of the game, and I'm so proud of you. I want to read you a story from Mark 12:41 to 44. So let me find that in the Bible. And that is about someone being generous. Let me see. Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. So people were coming and they were giving money to the church to help the church out. I think the church probably helped poor people and whatever. So they were giving money. Many rich people threw in large amounts of money, but a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins worth only a fraction of a penny. She put in just a tiny little bit. Who do you think God was most happy with? Lots of guesses. I will tell you. Calling his friends to him, Jesus said, I tell you the truth, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. So did she put in more? She only put in 2 small coins and they put in tons. Money-wise, she did not put in more. But from her heart, she put in more. Because she put in everything she had. She had no more money. This was the last of her money. And that's what Jesus says. It was the last of her money, and she gave it all. But the rich people still had tons left. So she gave everything she had. So in that way, she gave more. Jesus said, they all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. That's very much the same as the story we did last week with Elijah, when he asked the widow to feed him with the very last of what she had in the pot. He could have gone to a rich person and just asked for some food, and they wouldn't even have noticed it missing. Generosity is being willing to give, even if it's the last that you have, even if you don't think something else is going to take its place. That is amazing. Now, I want you to know that kids can do this too. And I'm going to read you out of Matthew because it's kind of a shorter version. But you need to also look at John because it tells where this came from. So Matthew 14:15-21. As evening approached, the disciples came to him, that's Jesus' friends, and said, this is a remote place and it's already getting late. Now, a remote place is out in the middle of nowhere. Just no houses and towns around. It's just out in the middle of nowhere. And people had come to listen to Jesus talk. There was tons of people, thousands of people. And they were out there. And Jesus' friends were worried about them because they hadn't had anything to eat. And he said, send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy themselves some food. And Jesus said, they don't need to go away. Give them something to eat. Now the disciples said, we have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Now in this book, actually in 3 of the gospel books, it doesn't say where they got it from. But if you look in John, it was a little boy. A little boy had a lunch. And he had 3 little barley loaves and 2 fish. And I suppose his mom probably packed it up for him to eat while he was out. And he offered that. He said, you can use my stuff. Now that's not very much food to feed thousands of people, right? But because lots of times we think, well, I'm too little, I can't do anything. I don't have very much, so I can't do anything. But that's wrong. Remember the widow with Elijah? She didn't have very much, and yet it was enough. And the widow in the story today didn't have very much, but it made Jesus so happy. So this little boy gave what he had because Jesus wanted it. We have here only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And Jesus said, bring them here to me. And he directed the people to sit down on the grass, and taking the loaves and the fish, he looked up to heaven and he gave thanks and broke the loaves, and he gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people, and everybody ate and were satisfied. So they ate till they weren't hungry anymore. They just kept passing it around, and just like the oil jug and the flour bin last week, they just didn't run out. And there was even leftovers. Isn't that so amazing? And that little boy did that. God can use you in incredible ways. Now, the reason that most people are not generous is because they worry that they won't have enough. They worry that they're going to lose out, that something's going to be taken away from them. But we need to trust God that he will give us what we need. Now, that little boy, he gave away his lunch. He was going to be hungry. But did he worry about that, or did he trust God? Yeah, he trusted God to give him what he needs. God always wants to give us something wonderful. And sometimes we hang on to something because we think it's so good, and God has something better in store. I'm going to tell you another story. This one is not a Bible story. It's just a little story. There was a little girl, and she had a string of pretend pearls, just a cheap little plastic necklace. And she loved it. She was just little, and she loved it so much. And every night her daddy would say, "Will you give me your pearls? I would really like to have your pearls." And she'd say, "No, Daddy, I love my pearls too much." And he would ask her the next night, "I can give you something else if you give me your pearls." And she'd say, "No, Daddy, I love my pearls so much." And he would ask and ask and ask, and she would never give them because she just loved them so much. And one day she thought, you know what? I love my daddy very much. And if he wants these pearls, I'm going to just give them to him. And so she took her pearls and she said, "Daddy, here, you can have them." And he just was so happy because she trusted him. And so he reached into his pocket and he gave her real pearls that were just real and worth so much money. They were not plastic. They weren't going to rot away or anything else. And he put them around her neck. That's what God is like. He gives us just the best stuff. And sometimes we hang on to things that is not worth hanging on to because we don't know any better. But if we trust God, he just blows our socks off. You just can't outgive God. God is the best giver and you can't outgive him. Now, I want to show you something that's going to demonstrate this. This is going to be cool and it's going to be messy. Now, we're going to pretend that this table is the world. These are all the people in the world. Do you know all the people in the world? Yeah, me neither. But this bowl is going to be all the people that I know. So in the world, I have a circle of friends and family. So that's going to be this. And this is me. I'm going to put myself right in the middle of the circle of my friends. Now, when we worry about, well, I want to give my friends a little bit. Oh, I can see it's going down. And I pour out into my friends, maybe give them some money that I don't have, like extra of, but they need it, and so I give it to them. And I spend some time helping people clean their house or whatever they need to do, fix their bike, sew something for them. And so I keep pouring out. And when I keep pouring out, it makes me emptier and emptier if I just do it from myself, right? But it fills them up a little bit. I know at school you talk about filling somebody else's bucket, right? You fill somebody else's bucket by doing nice things for them. So I know you understand that. And sometimes they fill your bucket too. And so you would have more into there. Well, I'm going to make a big mess if I do that. But people will pour back into you as well. But people worry that they're going to run out. And so it's always, what about me? I don't want to do that because it takes too much time and then I'm going to be tired. Or I don't want to give my chocolate bar to somebody else because then I won't have any, even if it means they're going to stop crying. They worry about that. So I'm going to show you an example because this is the world. This is my circle of family and friends, and this is me. But, oh my goodness, can I lift this? This is God. He's big and he's heavy. So God pours into us. Does he pour into us just a little bit? No. The Bible says he just gives us and gives us and gives us until we're overflowing and leaking out. So let's do that. God is pouring into me and I'm overflowing and leaking out. Now what's happening to my family and friends and everybody that I'm pouring into? They're getting full too. And so they're filling up and filling up. Oh my goodness. And that who is touching the world, look at it. God is still pouring into me. And it's pouring all over the world into my friends and pouring and pouring and pouring and pouring. And God is not running out, is he? God just keeps doing it. So do we have to worry about running out? because God will give us more. Remember I said you can't outgive God. I'm pouring as much as I can into other people, and God is still pouring into me. I am still not empty. Oh my goodness. I'm making a mess, but I'm not empty. Sometimes life is messy. So that is my point to you today. Isn't that so cool? We can pour out and never run out. So that's why God wants you to be generous. Because like the little girl with the pearls, she handed it over and got something better. God wants to give us the best stuff. He wants us to be happy. And so we can afford to do that. We can afford to let things go. And so I hope you remember that. Now, that is quite a mess that I made. I'm going to pour this out. Don't worry, I did not get my carpet wet. I've got my table standing in a pool. Whoops, and now I got my carpet wet. I want to show you the craft today, but I'm going to have to dry off my table first. Oh my goodness, that is very, very wet. We soak the world with God's love. Isn't that amazing? I love that. Thank you for holding my towel, Bruno. Okay, our craft today is a piggy bank. And this is what it looks like when it's all done. Can you see that? There's a hole in the top. Now we're going to start with just a balloon. Okay? So blow it up. Oh my goodness, this is a hard one. You might have to get somebody else to blow it up. Okay, there you go. There's our balloon. We don't want it to be huge, too huge, as big as you want your pig to be. And we tie a knot in the end. Oh my goodness, I'm having trouble. This is the hardest part. I'm in trouble. Okay, so what we do is we have a balloon, and I use a coffee cup because it will hold my balloon still. Okay? Now we're going to make paper mache paste, and I've been using this a lot, so my sides are very, very messy. So this is how you do the paper mache paste. You take 1 cup of flour and you put it in something that can go in the microwave, and you put in 2 cups of water, and then you stir it, stir it, stir it, stir it. And you can use it like that, but it's best if you microwave it because it kind of gets thicker and stronger when you do that. So when you've stirred it and all the lumps are out, you put it in the microwave for 40 seconds, and then you stir it up. And then you put it in for another 40 seconds and stir it up again. And then you're going to take newspaper. And you're going to cut your newspaper. I'm going to get rid of him. Bruno, can you hold him for me, please? Thank you. You're going to cut your newspaper into strips. Now, I don't have newspaper, and so a very nice lady from church gave me newspaper. And you're going to tear those strips into pieces like this, okay? So you have all these little hunks of paper. And then, by the time you make a whole bunch, your stuff is going to be cool enough to use. And you're going to dip it in. Your hands are going to get messy. Until it's nice and wet. And you put it on your balloon and you smooth it all out, okay? And then you take another piece. Now, I would say you should probably put a garbage bag or a plastic on your table because it's going to make a big mess and it's going to look like the chickens got in your house and pooped everywhere. Seriously. Because it's going to drip. Look, I'm dripping already. So we're going to put these on here like this. And we're going to cover the whole entire thing, okay? Just like that. We flatten it out best we can. So that's not too hard, eh? And after a while, the goopiness is not even going to bother you, I hope. So you're going to keep doing that until the whole thing is covered up, except for you leave just this little tiny piece, okay? Just so this is sticking out. And you're going to keep on going until it's all covered up, okay? And once that's done, then you have to let it dry. So you can just lay it on your coffee cup, or I like to hang it by this. Hang it up somehow. Let it hang from a coat hanger. Maybe get a clothespin and a coat hanger and hang it from a light or something high, and just let it dry. And then you're gonna get some more, and you're gonna cover it up again. So you're gonna have 3 layers, and in between you have to let it dry each time. Now this stuff, you can just put it in the fridge and just put it in a big Ziploc bag, or cover it with saran wrap or something like that, and put it in the fridge, and it'll be ready for you tomorrow. And it'll be a little bit colder, but you just stir it up and use it again, and it lasts for a long time. So that's what you do. So remember, you need to do at least 3 layers, and make sure that it's covered everywhere each time. And you can tell if you missed a spot, because your new spots are going to be wet, right? And so you can know. So once you've done that, I'm going to put this over here. This one has been done 3 times. Can you hear how hard it is? And the little tail is sticking out. So what I'm going to do, because I did this beforehand, is I'm going to take my scissors, I'm going to hold on to the tail, and I'm going to cut a hole in my balloon, and I'm going to pull it. Oh, it doesn't want to let go. There we go. And the balloon is going to come out of this hole. Look at that. Amazing, eh? So this is my pig. I'm still going to need this because it holds it nice. Now, it doesn't look much like a pig because it doesn't have nose and feet and ears. So I'm going to show you how to do that. I take an egg carton, and I'm going to cut off the little bumps that hold the eggs. And these are going to be the nose and the feet and the ears. Okay? So I cut one off, and I cut all around so it's the same height all the way around like this. See that? And then I'm going to start dipping this in. Now the nose is going to be over that hole where the balloon was. Okay? So I'm going to put this on here, and this is going to hold it in place. So I'm going to put it on here. Whoops, it doesn't want to. I'm going to put it on here like this, and I'm going to cover this whole nose. Whoops. I need to remember to do it so you can see it instead of me seeing it. Okay? So we're going to cover the whole nose with this. And we're going to let it dry. And when it's dry enough that you can move it around without it falling off, then you can cut another one and do a foot, and another one and do another foot until you have all 4 feet on. It's easier to do 1 foot at a time. I tried doing 4 feet at a time, and it was too hard. So 1 foot at a time is good. Now you see how he's going to have a nose. So then you're going to do that for his feet. Now you're going to need some help for the slot in his back and for his ears. So I'm taking an X-Acto knife. Oh, I'm standing in water. Okay, I'm going to take an X-Acto knife, and I am going to cut a slot for the money to go in. Okay? So get your mommy or your daddy to do that part. Okay? Let me see. Pull it up a little bit. got a slot in his back. Can you see that? And that's where the money's going to go in. And you're going to make 2 more slots, and those are going to be for his ears. But you just have to poke a hole, okay? So, oh my goodness, I did not bring a pen. What I want you to do, oh, I do have a pen. I'm going to use my dry erase pen. I'm going to come really close for a minute. I'm going to show you how to make his ears. Now this is some lightweight cardboard. It's from a Pepsi box. And how you're going to make the ears is you're going to draw a triangle. It doesn't matter if it's lopsided. Mine was very lopsided. You should try it again. It's hard for me to draw it upside down. Okay, there is a diamond. I said a triangle. It's a diamond. Did you guys correct me? Good. Now on the sides of the diamond, we're going to make them round corners instead of sharp corners. Okay? Like that. And then you're going to take your scissors and cut it out. It doesn't have to be exact. It's a pig's ear. And that is the pig's ear. Now you're going to take it and you are going to turn it over. I'm going to get rid of this and this. And you're going to trace it. Okay? And that's going to give you another ear that's the same size and the same shape. Okay? And you're going to cut that out. Isn't that easy to make a pig's ear? Just a kind of a diamond shape with 2 round corners. Now I know that might not look like an ear to you, but it's going to. So this very pointy part, I'm going to bend it once, and then I'm going to bend it again, okay? Like that. And I'm going to do that to this one too. Going to bend it and bend it. Now, do you remember those little slots that we made? I'm going to stick the pointy part. Oh, I might have to make it a little bit bigger with my scissors, or at least poke it so I can see it. I'm going to put the bendy part of my ear in here. Now, does it look like an ear? It does, doesn't it? Okay, I got to see my hole, and I put the point of his ear in here like that. And there's my pig's ears. Now, when you do your pig's ears, I learned the hard way. You might have to make the slots a little bit longer to make them go in as far as you want. There we go. When I did my pig's ears, I did them while they were bent, and it was very hard. What I should have done, I'll get my stuff back, is just cover the whole thing with my paper mache while he's standing up, because then I can easily see. And while it's still wet, we don't have to have this very thick, because this doesn't have to be strong, it just has to be covered. Okay, so you can do only 1 layer on the feet, make sure they're well covered, and on the ears. So we're going to do it like this. And then once it's all covered, we can just bend it down. So that's how we're going to do that. And now we have one more thing to do, and that's the tail. So on the very back where his tail will go, I'm going to poke a hole with my scissors. I'm going to take a pipe cleaner and I'm going to twist it, twist it, twist it. And then I'm going to curl it up kind of like a pig's tail. How does that look? Whoops, not twisted good enough. His tail would be too fat. If that happens, twist it up some more. Okay, is that a good pig's tail? Okay, then I'm going to make a little bend on the end, and I'm going to dip it all in my paper mache paste. Whoops. And I'm going to squeeze off lots of the extra stuff so it doesn't drip everywhere. But that's going to make it nice and stiff. And I'm going to poke that in there. And there's his little tail. So I still have the feet to do, but I'm going to do the feet just like I did the nose. So that's all you have to do. And when you're all done, you can draw on his little nostrils and you can draw on his eyes. I put buttons on my guy's eyes. I just glued them on because I had them. You can paint your pig afterwards if you want to. And an idea for generosity for this pig is you and your family can start putting money into it and decide what you're going to do with it. Something generous to do with it afterwards. Maybe you'll donate it to the food bank or something else. Your family can come up with different ideas. And you can do it until it's full, or you can do it for a month. I want to give you ideas again about how to be generous, because maybe you don't have money. Maybe you don't have an allowance. But you can still get money. If Daddy offers you to have a slush on the way through town, and you can say, Daddy, I'm going to not have the slush if you will put that money that it would have cost and put it in my bank. That would be a good idea. Or maybe you could help Mommy out and say, Mommy, if I do the laundry for you, will you put some money in the bank? And you can do that too. And your whole family can get in on it. Anyway, that's just an idea. Maybe you just want to make the piggy bank so you can save up for your own whatever. And you can do that too. I hope you have fun with this craft. I hope you enjoy our song. And I hope you remember to be generous. You can't outgive God. We'll see you later. Our God.